Stephen Speak, the podcast about everything and nothing. Don't forget to subscribe. Hello, welcome to Stephen Speak, episode 18, XVIII. If you're still playing that game, which I've not been consistent with, so apologies if you're really excited about learning Roman numerals. Probably not the best teacher to come to. It's not a podcast about Roman numerals. I'm sure there's one out there. Well, how are you anyway? Yeah, welcome to the episode. I'm very well, thank you. Just excuse me while I just adjust my microphone. I've just realised I've started recording. Thought everything was in the right place, and just thought, actually, this is not in the right place. I've got a little bit of a new setup today, so I'm quite pleased. For once, it's actually quite tidy when I started working. I've installed some stuff onto my desk to hold my laptop and a separate screen, and as I said before, I've got my new mic and my new arm and stuff, so yeah, it's slowly coming together. I've got to watch this arm, though, because it's literally on my shelf, and I've got loads of Lego on the shelf, and it's a bit precarious, let's say that. If I pull the arm out too far, it's actually the second shelf up as well, and the shelves aren't attached to the arms brackets. It's like shop shelving. I really need to screw them in, really, and because it's like literally bolted onto the outside of the shelf, it's leaning forward, so I think the weight of the Lego will be fine, though. I think it'll counterbalance it, but, you know, it's slightly worrying. I've got a baseball cap on today as well, and I'm going to keep hitting let me turn it round. Hang on. Anyway, while I'm doing that, I'll tell you what my episode's about today. Again, literally started recording. Well, was about to start recording a few moments ago, and didn't really still know what it was about. But earlier on today, I was actually playing a game, playing a computer game, technically a console game, and I thought, actually, why not just talk about that? So there you go. So literally 30 seconds before pressing the record button, I've got Wikipedia up just to help me out with some dates and stuff for certain games consoles, etc. But yeah, I'm going to talk about gaming consoles and gaming and just how that's just my experience of it, really. Let me know your experience as well. You know, did you have the same consoles as me? Are you loyal to one console? Are you loyal to one company? I know a lot of people kind of like if you stick with Nintendo, like you're a Game Boy person or a Switch person, and you stay with Nintendo, and that's it. Other people literally like to buy every bloody console going. I don't even know if they afford it. And some people are like PC gamers, like my brother. He's a big PC gamer, and really struggling at the moment because obviously he's trying to upgrade his graphics card, and with all the stuff that's going on in the world, it's really difficult to obtain chips, etc. And the graphics cards are just ridiculously and stupidly expensive, to be honest. But yeah, anyway, so computer games. My very first memory of anything like a computer game or anything like that was Pong. Probably like a lot of people, to be honest. Way back in the day, when I was a kid. I was only born in 1983. I say only that I'm one of the getting on towards middle age now. 39 this year, so don't say anything about that. But yeah, I remember being quite amazed. We had this plugged into the television. We had the old CRT cathode ray tube TV, and it plugged in at the back, and you just had these two little dials basically, and the dials, if you turned it right, I think the thing used to go up. You turned it left, it used to go down, and yeah, that's pretty much how it worked. And yeah, we got hours of enjoyment out of it. And I think if a child looked at that nowadays, they'd probably cast it off without even probably trying to have a go on it. But I think if you made a kid try it, I think they'd be quite amazed about how fun it could actually be to play on that game. And I think that's something that's lost out a little bit nowadays. Like, I think people think that you need all this technology, etc. And I must admit, I love tech. I love getting tech. But you can have fun in the simplest things. Like today, I was playing Desert Strike, which was available on the Genesis or the Mega Drive, Sega Mega Drive, if from the UK. and I think Europe. But that device for me was cutting edge when I was growing up. I've skipped on a little bit, and I'll go back. But yeah, so Pong was probably like my first experience with an actual probably computer, well, games console if you want to call it that. And then probably after that it was probably like an Atari. My brother's a little bit older than me, and he had a couple of friends that we had some family friends that had like Atari home consoles. So we'd play like Centipede and oh god, what's that one where you got the ball and it used to bounce around? And you had to hit it with a bat. It's like Pong but one player. Oh, answers on a postcard. So yeah, so we had a lot of. We didn't have like a home console really, so we used to just play this bloody TV thing. And it wasn't until neither of us really had like a computer until I think my brother was about maybe 12, maybe, and my mum and dad bought him a home computer. So he got an Amstrad CPC464, which was like a tape deck, and you load your games off cassette. And it took so long. I mean, I don't even know what memory had. It was like something like, it was like 2-bit or something. I don't even know. It was so small. Like if a kid looked at that now, they would just be like, "What the hell?" I'm gonna Google it. Hang on, let's Google it to see, just for giggles. CPC464, and it looked amazing. Like I remember when my brother got it, and I was super jealous because my mum and dad didn't have a lot of money, and it took a long time to save up for it, and so that was his big Christmas. So I didn't have. I still got presents. Like I wasn't spoiled. Like I wasn't like still not like got presents and stuff. But he got this computer, so it was his year for a big present, and that's how mum and dad kind of did it. I got lots of little presents. It was his year for a big one. The following year, I think I got, or the year before, I think I got a ride on tractor or something like that. But my not so good presents were still bloody good presents. To be fair, mum and dad worked really hard to get us what we know what they could afford, and so yeah, I've got it up here. So it was an Amstrad CPC464, and it was powered by a Zilog Z80 processor, which was being used in the Apple II. Well, it was kind of a similar one that was being used in the Apple II. It was an 8-bit computer, 4 megahertz and 64K of memory. And ran AMS-DOS, Amstrad's own operating system. And I never forget, like, you could program on it and stuff. My brother had this massive thick book that you could sit and code on the screen. And it was just do stuff like make the screen flash different colours, make it tweet like a bird. And it was a bit ridiculous, but we were so excited about it because it was his computer, but we used to share it a little bit. He used to share it with me. I ended up getting a couple of games for it. Again, it's like the previous episode when I talked about Gav. He was a bit tortured, really. I think because I was his young brother and he had to kind of share sometimes. And I don't think that's always the. I feel a bit bad that he probably felt like he had to do that. It's a bit crap, isn't it? When you've got a younger brother, I suppose, and you've got these things and they want to play with them. Hang on, let me adjust my mic again. I'm sorry. I promise I will improve. I promise. I just want to adjust it so I can actually read this screen while I'm talking to you. Again, my setup's not fully complete yet, so it's just so unprofessional. If anyone's planning to be a guest on the show, it will be better than this when I get my recorder, because at the moment there's wires everywhere and it's really restricting me. I promise. Yeah, so that was like our first like computer really, and even it wasn't really mine. So I would have been, I'd have probably been about 7 when we got that, and like I know we never had like some of my mates had Nintendo, so they had the Nintendo Entertainment System, which is like I think like was that classed as like the third generation of console maybe. Because every generation has like every console set has like dated kind of generational thing for how how advanced they were, etc. And I think that was probably like one of the third generations maybe, along with the Sega Master System, an Atari 7800, 7600, whichever one it was. A couple of my cousins had the Sega Master System. Again, we never had any of them, and we had this home computer, which I think my mum and dad thought was an all-around better purchase, because it was a computer. It wasn't just something to play games on. It could be educational. You could type on it. And I think my mum and dad probably had a bit of aspirations. They could maybe do their own work on it. They could type letters, and they never really used it like that. I remember we had a dot matrix later on with another computer. We ended up getting this massive, huge dot matrix printer as well. And yeah, we never really did any like home work, because you didn't need to back in the day. Like, computers weren't really used for work still, especially like the sort of work mum and dad were in. So I think we maybe wrote a letter on it every so often, and that was about it. Same with the Amstrad, and we had no way of printing anything anyway, so it was like there were some basic programs that I think you could keep diaries and stuff. So me being my age and Gavin being his age, we didn't really use any of that. But he did do this programming stuff, which I used to sit and watch him, like just sit and watch him typing it in, because I was a bit in awe of him that was what you could do. You don't really understand how something works. I still don't really understand how programming works, to be honest. Like, that you can program zeros, ones, and X, Y, Z, and hash, and whatever. So I have no idea. And it comes out like a computer game. It's magic, really. And kudos to anyone that knows anything about that. So my first console was in the early 90s, when it'd probably been about 1990, maybe late 80s. I don't know. It would have been early 90s. Maybe 89, 90. So maybe I was even younger when Gavin got his Amstrad. See, times are blur sometimes. I'm either really vivid with it, I'm either really spot on with my times, or I'm all over the place. I suppose it depends when the Sega Mega Drive 2 came out, because that's the one that I had. And the Sega Mega Drive 2 was a strange console, because it was basically the Sega Mega Drive or the Genesis machine, but I don't know if it was available abroad, to be honest. Let's have a look. This is like a Googling episode. And I had this one, and I literally mithered my mum and dad for it for a long time. They weren't overly keen on me getting one. I think they thought, my work would suffer at school, and I'd just sit on it all the time. And I was very much a child where I used to play with toys, and I would play with Action Man and and games consoles. They didn't really keep my interest that long, to be honest. But my mates had Mega Drives and stuff, and they had like some cool games like Micro Machines and stuff like that. And then they were releasing the Sega Mega Drive 2, which I don't know if there was actually an improvement to the first one. I think it was just it had some benefits, and it was just smaller. And I didn't have a very big room at my house. It was released in 1993, so there we are. And I don't think I got it when it first came out, so I was probably about 9, maybe 10 when I got it. So around about the age I thought I was, to be fair. But I remember saying to my mum and dad, like, I don't want anything throughout the year. You don't have to buy me sweets. You don't have to give me pocket money. You don't have to do nothing. I'll have it for like my birthday and Christmases for like 3 years. Like, can I have a Sega Mega Drive 2? And it was getting to the point where they were like actually they perceived that they were getting angry at me, and I got grounded for hassling them, basically, because that's all I was doing. I was like, I don't want anything else. That's all I want. Just that one present. You don't have to get me any sweets, nothing else. No, that's all I want. That's all I want. And I think it was probably got to November time, and I was quite depressed about it, if I'm honest with you. I mean, it shows how marketing works for children and how peer pressure can work sometimes. And this is probably the only time I've been majorly influenced like that. And I love Sonic the Hedgehog. I think that's probably the driving force of it. I was really loving Sonic the Hedgehog on the Master System and the Mega Drive of Genesis. I was quite I just couldn't be arsed. From November time, my mum and dad had both given they both told me you mention this again, you'll have nothing for Christmas. You're not getting a Sega Mega Drive 2. Shut up about it. That's the end kind of thing. And I did, and then Christmas Day came, and I was in a right mood, to be honest. I was like, oh, I've got presents. And I was a bit ungrateful in some ways, because I had loads of presents. And I was just like, yeah, whatever, I don't really care what I'll get, because nothing's going to be as good as a Mega Drive 2. Like, I'll try and enjoy Christmas. I'm sure I'll get something nice, but it's not going to be a Mega Drive 2. And I remember, like, just sat on the settee, and there was a box which was was probably, like, reasonably big, but I never, because my dad, when he said something, was always like, if I say it, I mean it, kind of thing. So I was adamant I wasn't getting a Mega Drive 2. And there was this box that was quite large, and I was thinking, oh, what's that? And I was thinking, oh, it's probably some crap game or something. Like, and again, I'm not spoiled, and I'm not ungrateful, but I was that sad that I wasn't getting a Mega Drive 2. I genuinely wasn't bothered about getting nothing for Christmas. And my mum gave me this small thing. I was like, oh, can I open the big one? She was like, no, you always open the bigger presents first to see what they are. And she said, no, open this other one. And it was like kind of like VHS size, so like a videotape, because yes, I'm that old as well. And I was like, video. So I opened it, and it was Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Mega Drive / Genesis. And I kind of lost my shit a little bit, because I was like, why have you bought me this? This doesn't... Because my brother, by this time, I think he'd upgraded from the Amstrad. I think he had an Amiga by this point, an Amiga 600, which, again, we thought were amazing, and I'll come back to that. And I was just like, what have you bought me this for? This doesn't work on the Amiga. And I was quite pissed. And quite ungrateful, I must admit. And my mum was like, now open that big one. And I was like, no, why have you bought me Sonic the Hedgehog 2? And I was like, really wanting like an explanation. I was like, this is pathetic. You've been telling me off like all year about going on about having a Mega Drive and blah 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 blah. And now you buy me a bloody Mega Drive game. I'm not even got a Mega Drive. It doesn't work on his bloody Amiga. I can't go around my mate's house just to play this game. And my mum was like, listen, shut up and open that big box. And I still hadn't twigged by this point, by the way. And I think I'm quite a clever person, but again, I was so adamant that I wasn't getting a Mega Drive from how I'd been treated, really. Like, I was probably been shouted at. So I started opening this big box open, and of course it was a Sega Mega Drive 2. And I just burst out crying. Like, I was just so overwhelmed with happiness and joy, and the fact that I'd been a bit shitty as well to my parents. And I literally broke down, and I was just like crying my eyes out and give them big hugs and stuff. And I was like, I will be the best. I will not be naughty at all and all this, because I was just so happy about it. And to be fair, it was a brilliant little system. And I'm not one of these people that buy loads of games, even though I've got an Xbox One now, and I don't buy games that often. I think they're quite expensive, and they were even back in the day. People go, oh, they were cheaper back in the day. Everything's relative, isn't it? Like, you could buy a game back then for a tenner, but a tenner back then is probably still like 15. It's probably still like 20, 25 quid now. So that's still quite expensive for like one game when you've had to buy a console. And then I remember games still costing like 20, 25 quid back in the day. So I suppose it is relative. Like, things do go up. They are a bit excessively expensive now, especially with all the add-ons and stuff that you get like half a game, and then you're expected to buy extra stuff when you get the game. I'm not into that. That really does annoy me. For me, it's like, you should buy a game and it should come with stuff. Fair enough. Like, later on, if they add updates to it, or they bring out an add-on for it, then fair enough. But that's a different story. But yeah, I loved my Mega Drive. I still actually have it. I went to sell it at one point. I just couldn't get rid of it, and just the nostalgia of it. And it was a little black, very stealthy-looking box, like half the size of a normal Mega Drive, and I probably had maximum 8 games in the entire time that I had it. Because we used to do a thing like back in the day, again, Blockbuster Video and local video shops used to rent games to you. So you could go up to the video shop and rent a game for like £1 for like a week. And I used to do that. So if there was a game that I really wanted, I would go and see if I liked it. And I would do it normally during like school holidays and stuff. So my mum and dad would give me a bit of carte blanche to play on my Mega Drive, because I was time restricted. I wasn't allowed to sit just on it constantly, even though it was in my bedroom. I was time restricted, and I think that's a good thing as well, because you can just get lost in games. And even now, like, I'll play something on my Xbox One, and 3 hours has gone, and you think, Jesus Christ. But yeah, I used to go and rent games off the video shop, and sometimes a week with a game, you're like, yeah, I've played it now. Sometimes I'd then phone the video shop and say I want to rent it for another week, and I'll pay you when I come, bring it back, kind of thing. You used to like just pay your tab off. And sometimes like I would then buy the game of having played it. But sometimes I used to rent games when I knew my mates were coming around. So I would have friends stay over or people would visit, and I'd rent a couple of games out. We rented Mortal Kombat out and stuff like that because we had 2 controls. Me and my brother used to play Mortal Kombat, and that for the graphics back in the day, like with the people that were scanned in and the sound effects and stuff. It was like genuinely, you just thought, well, graphics can't get any better than this. That's photorealistic, and it isn't, is it? Like if you're looking at it now, it was crap. But back in the day, there was no higher benchmark than that. That was literally bleeding edge technology. And it's the same on Brother's Amiga. I mean, we played a few games. We were looking at something actually on YouTube, and I can't remember what it was called now. It's like a visualization that they brought out, and it was made inside the software of the Amiga 600. It was a full music video, and it was just all visualizations. But that in the day was like, again, cutting edge. It's called Jesus Ease or something like that. Jesus Ease, something like that. Apologies if I got that wrong. Yeah, but when you're looking at games back in the day, like you just think they can't get any better. Like we used to play a game called Cannon Fodder. I'm sure anyone that's ever had like a home console or like a home computer has probably played Cannon Fodder because it was just a fantastic game. And there was a song on it, like a full song. Like, and again, you didn't really get. You got like kind of 16-bit, like kind of shitty keyboard MIDI sounding music. You didn't have speech and things very often. I mean, the whole opening thing to the Sega Mega Drive, it went Sega as you turned it on. Now that was amazing. Like, oh my god, there's a voice coming out of my computer. Like, it was quite incredible. But like Cannon Fodder had a whole song, which was brilliant. And me and my brother used to like listen to it and sing along with it while it was loading. Because basically it was like the loading screen. I think you could skip it after a certain time. It didn't take the whole song to load the game, but yeah, stuff like that. You're just like, and then you see the games now. Like there's a motorcycle game out. I think it's called Ride, and that looks photorealistic. Like if you're playing it on a what are you on 9th generation consoles now, with like the Xbox X, is it called the Xbox X? Whatever the one is whatever the newest one is. I can't bloody remember. I've fed up trying to Google one to actually buy one because you can't, like, hen's teeth. And then obviously the PS5, or if you've got like a super good gaming computer, like the graphics on it is just insane. Like, there's still like that uncanny valley with certain games, but that game is like damned close as you can get to photorealistic. And again, you think it can't get any better than that, but I'm kind of like disillusioned by that theory now because I've been thinking that all my life when I've seen something or like a game or CGI in a film or something. It can't get better than that, but it does. It does get better than that. And it wonders what the future's going to bring with virtual reality and immersion in games and just will it just look like reality? Will graphics become that good that you won't the lines will be blurred? Because like from my Pong days to what it is now is a vast difference. But yeah, I mean, when I upgraded from a PlayStation, from my Mega Drive, it was a massive leap. The PlayStation took CDs. I know there was a Sega CD as well, but we'll not mention that. Was it Night Trap was on it, which was like a game and it was banned because it actually contained like video footage of like people getting kidnapped, and I think one of them was like implied like sexual assault, and there was a massive uproar at the time. And I think it was like an 18 when that came out. You had to be like 18 to buy the game because they started putting ratings on games. And I think that game is now going to be on the new mini Sega console. They're bringing out the released like preloaded games onto it, and that's one of the games that's going to be on it. And I don't even think it's got a rating. Like it's probably like a universal game. Barmy. Yeah, but the step up from my Mega Drive to my PlayStation, even with the the 3D renderings and I don't know the technical terms. I'm not gonna lie. But it was amazing, and you had proper, you had voice, you had stories, you had cutscenes, and even you've had cutscenes like going back to the days of Commodore, but they're normally like pictures and writing and stuff. But these were proper like full 3D animations, like mini films, and it was amazing, absolutely incredible. And yeah, I remember getting my PlayStation, and again, it was I think I partly bought it. It was like birthday money, and I partly put my own money to it because I was doing chores around the house and getting a bit of pocket money from that, and got us a bit of a bargain actually. I remember we bought it from I think it was Liverpool actually, a shop at Dixon's maybe, and I remember it was one of these things where it's like a bundle, so you buy the PlayStation, and you could pick so many games. And the guy made a mistake, and he basically told us we could pick any game. And we went through the till, and it came up to like loads more than it should have been. And we were like, my mum and dad basically argued that he says, "Well, you told us any game." Now he's disappointed because he can't have any game. And we were like, "Right, we're gonna leave. We don't want anything now." And it was. It's quite funny because the guys went, "Well, whatever then, you can just have the games," and he literally rang them all through. So I got I think it was like 3 proper good games for like the price of like a platinum game or something like that. Which the platinum games were like the games that were like bargain price because they'd been out a while and sold so many. So yeah, I think was it I can't remember if it was called Jungle Strike on the PlayStation actually, because I used to love. Coming back to it is what I've been playing today is Jungle Strike. And that on the Mega Drive kept me occupied for hours and hours and hours. I'm just trying to see now. I'm pretty sure Jungle Strike was on the PlayStation. I can't quite remember. It was a game basically like Jungle Strike or Desert Strike, but Nuclear Strike is what it was called. The Nuclear Strike. Oh, Nuclear Strike. Oh, the tingles that I get when I feel like I played on that game for so many hours. A Desert Strike on the Mega Drive was like basically it's not a top down. It's a bit like like a 3D view, like a how would you call it? I don't think how you would call it because it's not. It's like kind of like third person on the helicopter, but the camera's fixed and the helicopter rotates. I don't know what you would call that. But it was brilliant, and you had to like do missions and shoot things, and you had Hellfires, Hydra missiles, and cannon, and you could pick people up. You had to pick fuel and ammo and armor up, and it was quite difficult actually. And there was little hidden gems in the map, so you could pick your co-pilot, and some of the pilots were missing, but they were actually in the maps, so you could actually find secret people to pick up and rescue, and then you could only hold like 4 or 5 people, and then you had to go and drop them off. But it was actually a really difficult game because you couldn't really see what army you had, and you didn't know what weapons you had left, as far as I remember. If the emulated game that I was playing today is anything to go by. But yeah, so when I got my new console, Jungle Strike was one of the ones I wanted to get, and yeah, this was £45. This game was so. People say all games nowadays when they're £50 is ridiculous. Like that game was $44.99. I remember because it was one of the games that I shouldn't have been able to have bundled with the console, but they let me have. Because I think it was 5 platinum games, and I chose 3 non-platinum games. But one of them was quite cheap. I don't even know what the other ones were. I can't remember what the other ones were. G Police, I think it was. G Police. I have no idea. Ridge Racer, I think one of them was, because I think that came. It was like the Ridge Racer bundle pack, which I never really liked Ridge Racer, to be honest. I know that sounds treacherous, but and scandalous, but I didn't really get into it. But I kind of been a PlayStation person, to be honest. Like, so it was always Mega Drive, Sega kind of guy, and then I had 2 PlayStations in a row, so PlayStation 1 and a PlayStation 2. And the PlayStation 2 was a choice, really, because it was a DVD player, and obviously the DVD player was new technology, so I bought that when I went to college. So year 2000, my very first DVD was Charlie's Angels, the one with Drew Barrymore and Cameron Diaz and Lucy Liu, because it was like you could choose a free DVD, and that was one of the only ones that was probably worth watching, plus 3 beautiful women. Why wouldn't I get that as my first DVD? Yeah, so that was kind of like the good option, whereas like something like the N64 or the GameCube, like couldn't take DVDs, so like Sony had a really good selling point. I think it's still the most popular games console ever. So I had that for years, and then I changed and went to Xbox, and I don't even know why I did that, to be honest. There was probably a reason at the time. My first Xbox was an Xbox 360. Yeah, and I loved the Xbox, and then I upgraded from that a few years ago to the Xbox One. But I don't do it immediately. I don't have them on pre-order. I was contemplating getting the newest one on pre-order until I saw the price of it, and I was just like, yeah, I can't be bothered with that. In hindsight, probably should have done, because now obviously like hen's teeth with the pandemic and everything, like can't get hold of the bloody things. But yeah, I just think with games consoles and stuff, like they're good. Just with a computer, you've got to keep updating it and keeping up with it to make sure your graphics is always there. And I think the reason that games for like consoles are good is because are so expensive, because you don't have to upgrade anything. You can just pick it off the shelf and know it's going to work. Whereas with a PC, you get a game and you've got to go, right, what's the minimum spec? Blah. Oh, well, I can't run it in. I don't probably have to run it in, low resolution or medium spec, or where if you've got all the good games, you can to run them in like probably ultra settings and stuff. You need like all the singing, all dancing computer, and a monitor to match and all this. Where you've got part of the equipment with a console, it clicks into your TV, and you're off on your way. And any game you buy, and they're backwards compatible normally as well. So if you've got an Xbox 360 game, you can play it in your Xbox One mainly. I know they've tweaked that backwards compatibility thing. But yeah, I've never been a massive gamer, but I've always had the influence of a games console, and I think for me it's the graphics thing, but gameplay is a massive thing for me. Like I was playing Desert Strike earlier on, just on the internet actually. It's just an emulation thing off the internet, and it was brilliant fun, absolutely brilliant fun. I had not played that game 25 years, 22 years. Jungle Strike a bit more recently, like in the late 1990s. But Nuclear Strike, should I say, for the PlayStation 1. But absolutely brilliant gameplay. Like Mario, like I've never owned like a Nintendo console. I had a Nintendo 3DS, and I owned a Wii at one point actually. When I moved house, I had a Wii and a PlayStation 2. And I think the Wii thing was because it was so unique. It was like this wand that you had, this remote control controller, and I think I just got drawn into the uniqueness of it. But that's where the graphics thing, because the Nintendo Wii wasn't great for graphics, but it was great on gameplay, great for parties and getting your mates involved. Like my mum could play it. Like my mum would never play on my PlayStation or Xbox, but you could put this thing in the hand which reacted to her movements. She could correlate that to the screen and play bowling with me, or play golf, or tennis, or something. And I think that's it's different audiences, isn't it? Like the Xbox, the new Xbox and the new PlayStation, they're aimed at like gamers. They're not really aimed at children anymore, I don't think. Whereas when I was a kid, they were aimed at children. Like a Mega Drive was a games console for a child. And don't get me wrong, obviously there were some older games that adults could play, but fundamentally it was a games console for a child. And I think it's a shame we haven't got them days anymore where kids I do sound old, but kids have that they just want to win all the time. They want to play Fortnite. It's all online, and it's a social thing, and it's a peer pressure thing. Whereas I would turn my Mega Drive on, and my dad would say to me, "You've got half an hour," and I'd just try my best to get as far as I could and have as much fun as I could in half an hour before I had to turn it off again. And it's a shame that them days are gone, really. But yeah, it just games consoles are they give you a lot of joy. Like I remember going around to my friends just playing Micro Machines on 4 controllers, because you could actually share a controller, so you could have 8 players. Brilliant times. Cans of pop, packs of crisps, 8 of you around the console, having the best time on Micro Machines. One of the joyous things for my childhood is remember just playing Micro Machines and FIFA so much on a Mega Drive. Not the best graphics, but just brilliant fun with your pals. I'm gonna leave it there. Yeah, a little bit of a rambling, swirling podcast there about the old game console scene and kind of what my experience is. But yeah, there's some of it. I just think that the graphics aren't always the key thing, really. I think gameplay is, and I think some of the older ones, and I think that's why some people are so nostalgic for the old stuff, because it was pure. And I think that goes a long way, I think. And we're always going to be nostalgic about the things. Like, kids today are going to be nostalgic when they're in the 40s about Fortnite, playing Fortnite with their friends. So there's always that element there. But I think, in general, I think we had it better. I think the kids of the 80s, kids of the 70s, I think we had it better. We were the forerunners of the technology, and saw the massive advances in the tech in that space, as well as a lot of others, to be honest. But that's a story for another time, and I've rambled on long enough. So thank you very much for listening. Let me know what your first console was. Let me know if you've got any allegiances to a company like Nintendo or Sony, or do you just not have one and you don't like playing, or you've just gone out of it. Let me know. Hit me up on social media, at Stephen Speak PC, and I'll speak to you all soon. Thanks very much. You've been listening to Stephen Speak Podcast. I'd appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button.